Love you too, Sid.
I want to hug you.
Okay, you want to hug me? Hey, world. So here's another episode of the KEW Exchange. I got my good friend Daryl Arnold here. None of the fancy stuff's happening today because my producer Kelly's not around. She had business that she had to take care of, so I respect that and appreciate it. Sid, I can't play catch with you. I'm live. Let's play catch after. Ugh. So, and apparently the kids are still home because it's still spring break, which means everything's going to be a little bit more chaotic than normal. So we just got to roll with it. And that's where we're at. So, Daryl, why don't you explain? Congratulations on getting married, right? You just did that.
Thank you.
This is still new. So why don't we just jump right in and give a little bit of background on your story and where you've come from and been through, and just a little bit of your life for people that don't.
Well, I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. Mississippi is one of the, I would say, one of the most powerful places in the world because it has a lot of history in Mississippi. With the Mississippi Freedom Riders, with Ida B. Wells and Fannie Hugh Haver and so many other people. So yes, it's a big it's a state full of dogs, if you will. People that's really out here trying to make a change. So I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. I grew up with my grandparents. My mom and dad wasn't, my mom and dad was in the picture, but my mom, she was a schizophrenic. She was on drugs. My dad, he's always been there, but it wasn't, we kind of had our rough patches, but we definitely better now. I lost my mom when I was 16 years old. I've been through a lot. Basketball was kind of my way out. Basketball was my only thing I knew. I didn't know about the emotional chakras or, just understanding how to release emotions. So I kind of had to grow up with understanding, that, hey, it's going to be all right. I can be a man and actually, put out some of my emotions and understanding how to, reserve myself and actually be a professional, regardless of what I'm doing and what aspect I want to do in my life. So here I am now, 32, happily just got married, just happy. Just want to bring life and love to the world and inspire people to be better. Inspire people, especially men, like, hey, you can be emotional. You can be poised. You can be understandable. And you can understand, some things and aspects of your life that you probably didn't know because you were scared. You were scared of not being vulnerable. You were scared of not being yourself because of what society may say or people that surround you or whatnot. But no, you can be yourself. And you can also do that as well as I can teach you about financial education. That's what I do. So.
All right. So I'm going to dig a little deeper just because you know me, man. That's what I do, right? So I'm going to say hi to Bella because I haven't heard from, spoken to, or messaged Bella in a while. Hi, Bella. I miss you. Hope you're doing well. She's a good friend. So I want to go a little deeper, right? Because everybody understands, I'm just going to put it out there, the Black community, right? Like there's so many stigmas around it, right? There's so many things like, you can list them. I don't really want to, right? Like, because I don't fit in. So I don't want to, I'd rather not go there because I don't want to be rude and I don't want to step on it. Like, but there's so much against you, right? Like you just unpacked. Your mother and your father weren't around. Your mother was a schizophrenic. She was on drugs. You lived with your grandparents. You still got out of it, right? You worked your way through it. So, like, coming from what you came from in childhood, right, with being raised by your grandparents, having that situation, and then getting into a university, right, because you went to a university to play basketball. How big of an accomplishment is that from where you grew up?
It's a big accomplishment. Like I said, basketball was my way out. I kind of thought that I couldn't do anything else, especially coming from that negativity. I used to tell my dad I wanted to do other things, but he kind of really didn't see my vision or my dreams. So he kind of, cut some of those umbilical cords of dreams of what I really wanted to be. So yeah, that was tough to overcome, but yeah. It's definitely something that Black Americans, especially men, young boys, they kind of gravitate to one sport and just say, "Hey, this is the way out." Our music, you don't have to go that route. Even if you do go that route, you still want to be able to actually know how to speak. You want to actually know how to understand money. You actually want to know how to, collate, communicate with people, and know how to communicate, and actually know how to speak, so people can understand where you're coming from, understand your background, and everything else. So it is a difficult task. It's definitely a difficult task to actually knowing how to relay that message in a way that people of your own can understand it, and then somebody else that's not in your community understand it as well. So that's something that we always have to constantly go through.
Okay, so now my 3-year-old is being very resistant to me being live right this second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the next question. I'm going to let you run with it. I'm going to go get her set up. So hopefully we get the rest of the conversation. I know your story. Like, we've gone through this, but I want you to share it with everybody, right? So, I mean, you're smiling, you light up the screen. Like, you're in a place now where you're just inspiring everyone, right? Where you've come from, what you've been through, everything else, right? And how you want to inspire everyone, right? Youth to just understand how important communication is, financial literacy is, all these things that I'm passionate about as well, right? So we've had that bond. But I want you to talk about the college experience a little bit, like the athlete side of the life a little bit, because I think people misunderstand and think that, hey, you got a scholarship, life is easy, right? I feel like that's very misunderstood from somebody who's not an athlete, or at least at that level. Hi, okay. Apparently she wants a hug now. So why don't you run with that, and I'm going to go get her set up real quick, so I'll be right back. Go.
All right.
Okay.
So being an athlete, man, just being an athlete in general is not hard, especially being a student athlete at some of these big universities. They expect you to do all these, these things, and then you're not getting compensated for it. And you may be in rooms or dorms or even apartments with 3 or 4 other guys, maybe even more, depending on what college that you're in. If you have not checked out Last Chance U on Netflix right now, you probably want to check that out. That's just showing you California, the JUCO section. You see some of those guys being in there four guys in a 1-bedroom apartment, maybe even less, depends on what college it is. So it all depends on what college that you go to, what level that you're at. And you also always have to wake up early to do weights, and then maybe have to go to class. So you're already kind of sleepy, on edge. Then you have to take these notes, and then you have to go through these rigorous activities, basketball or whatever sport that you may play. Then you have to go hit those books afterwards. Some colleges, quote unquote, may do your work for you, but you still have to have that the thing that they call that quote unquote the great athlete or the standard athlete, that you have to have the GPA. You have to, abide by all the rules. If you get caught going out or something like that, or all these other things that can distract you from, the girls, the guys, whatever the case may be, and then, the drugs and all that paraphernalia, all those things. So everybody's trying to grasp you or grab you. You don't know who's really is for you, who's not for you, because a lot of times some people might just see you as a monetary thing. Some of your old parents, some of the people that you grew up with may look at you not the same way. So you don't know who to trust. So you kind of always on edge, on shells. You don't know who to trust. You always want to stay steady, be poised, but you don't know who to trust. So you really lost, and you really got into this because you had the love for the sport. You didn't have it for the monetary gain. You wanted it, but you didn't know that, man, this all that comes with it, all the pressure from the scouts, other people, maybe even your own coach telling you and maybe bribing you, trying to give you some money or whatever the case may be. So it can really get deep and can weigh on your brain, especially if you're a high class athlete. And, everybody wants your attention. Everybody want to autograph. Everybody want to hang out with you. That sounds good to be, quote unquote popular, but What about you? Where is your self-care? When do you actually, get to sit down and meditate or talk to just your families and friends and, not being always around paparazzi and, somebody just wants you to do something bad or negative so they can, blow it up and just hang that over you for blackmail or whatever the case may be. So it's a lot of different things that can happen as a student athlete, especially so from the psychological standpoint, because you're just a kid, just want to get out and just live your life, and which is that game that you loved when you was growing up. That was your way out from all the problems that you grew up with. So now you got to understand the business side of it, but you really can't get to the business side because you don't get paid for your likeness at the NCAA level or whatever level that you may be playing at. So that's why a lot of kids are going overseas now because of Brandon Jennings. He's pretty much the first one that kind of started at a young age, like, hey, I'm gonna go overseas and get some money, and then come back. So we see that taking place. So yeah, there's a lot.
So, okay, so let's talk about numbers a little bit, right? How many student athletes play men's basketball in the NCAA? Do you know, if you had to guess? What is it, like 200 teams, let's say 15 players a team? Is that about right?
Yeah. So
that's 300. That's 300. And then if you go backwards again from high school, you're talking about thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions potentially. So out of those millions, they fall into 300 spots, right? And if you include, Division II, then let's say maybe another 100 spots. So let's just say 400 spots. But then when you go to the pros, right? When you go to the pros, it's a whole different level, right? Because they don't bring in a new team. They add one or two players, right? And your numbers just went from, this huge funnel, right? I'm gonna tell you, your high school coach, that you're the best thing since sliced bread. I'm going to get you out there when you're playing, when you're hurt. I'm going to get you out there, putting your name out there so that we can win titles. We can do these different things. Then when you get to college, it's the same mentality, right? You're the best, you're the best, you're the best. When the reality is you might not be able to make the NBA because the percentages are so small. I mean, they have 2 rounds, 30 right? 60 players get drafted, I think. Is there 30 teams?
Yeah,
so
30 teams.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're talking about 2 rounds. You're talking about 60 players, and now they're drafting internationally. So even if you say 20% of them are coming from international or 25%, I mean, your numbers are like dwindling to nothing, right?
Yeah.
So what was life like when you decided to go to Europe to play, right? Because you went to go play pro in Europe.
Yeah, it was for me, it was exciting because I always wanted to travel. I like to see different things. I love history. I love culture. Going to Europe for a bit, it kind of put me in the stage of like, oh, okay, this is what this is probably one part of the Europe culture. I actually got to talk to some of the people about Nazi Germany, how exactly what he was doing, Hitler was doing. It was very intense, and I was like, whoa, it was intriguing. I was like, whoa, this is something similar, or I can relate to that. Being a Black American in America, understanding like, hey, some of my ancestors actually fought in the war and came back home and couldn't even eat in certain restaurants or a lot of restaurants around. So I was like, wow, this is kind of crazy seeing this up close and personal. So it was definitely different. The food that they ate, I had to learn some German. And all the, I was like, oh my goodness. So it was definitely eye opener. I loved the experience, and I would love to go back to Europe just to go to other places. Definitely, I want to go to France and Amsterdam and Italy, some of those other places too. So yeah, I have a bucket list of things I want to go back to Europe.
So what was your next pivot? Because like your whole life, it seems like up until where you're at today has been one pivot after the next to, okay, I'm done here. Now this is my next move. I'm done here. This is my next move. So let's talk about, you went to be a trainer from that point, right? Then you went into,
I've been training. The crazy thing is I've been training since I was a young kid. My trainer, actually, he already knew I had a gift with kids. He already knew I had a gift with understanding the game of basketball at a young age. he already kind of figured my game out, and he was like, "You have a gift." I didn't understand it until I got older, and he just passed away. R.I.P. Omar Carter. But he had me actually when I was in college. He actually had me teaching kids about fundamentals and different aspects of the game. So I was doing that. I had my own team, seventh graders. They was like one of the top teams in the nation. So yeah, I was learning. I already had the knack for the game, and I already knew how to kind of uh, help out kids in that regard. And I was good with the parents, of course. So I was already doing that. He kind of already prepared me for that. So once I came back from overseas, I started training and coaching at a college. So I mean, in a high school too. So it went relatively well, but I knew I wanted more. And I knew that I always said when I was younger that I wanted to be a motivational speaker. And the crazy thing was that it came into me in a different way when I had this opportunity with working with who I work with now, World Financial Group. It kind of gave me the best of both worlds. I can teach as well as I can educate, and then I can inspire. And that was like, that's what I always said I wanted to do, but I was kind of scared to get on that. And then I didn't have no plan. I was just going with the flow, I didn't know I was going to make it this long. I was kind of, well, it is what it is. Why should I plan out for the day? Because, I might die tomorrow. So why should I have a plan? And I had that kind of attitude for a while. But then I met my wife, and, some things turned around, and I started learning. I was like, why am I like this? I had a positive mindset, but I didn't have that type of mindset of like looking at the future or looking at, what I really wanted in my life. So once I realized, okay, this is what I want to do. This is why, this is one of my passions. This is something that I can always wake up to, feel good about. I can do this. I can inspire somebody. I can speak to them, tell them about my story, tell them about what I overcame, and tell them like, hey, you can do this too. Regardless of what skin tone you may be or whatever, that you can do this as well. And I realized that I had a gift, and this was my gift, and I'm here today to just spread my gift and just share my story. But like, hey, you can do this, regardless of what you're going through, regardless of what your parents may put you through, or whatever circumstances that you did. Now you're here for a reason. The people that's in your life, they're here for a reason. They love you. They care for you. They may not be your ultimate blood, but they're here for a reason. They're here to actually, give you what you need, that nourishment that you didn't get from your childhood. A lot of times the things that you did not get in childhood is probably the same thing that you're kind of, you need that void for now, without realize. And with the people that you have around, it's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to, to mourn at times, but it's not okay to sit down and just beat yourself up. You got to get yourself up and get out there and just keep trying, because everybody gets to make it when they keep trying and keep going. Look at yourself. I've witnessed you, how you told me about some of the things that you overcame, and you had to go through that. You had to go through that struggle alone. But look at you now. You're inspiring so many people with this platform that you have, and you brought me on. So you're just a beacon of life as well.
Well, and I appreciate that, and I'm receiving compliments today because I never used to, right? So I'm allowing that to process. I mean, like, it's amazing, right? Like when you start speaking, and when any of us, right, no matter who we are, when we finally get our voice and we start feeling confident within ourselves, we're able to impact people immediately, right? Because the one thing is there's 7 billion people on this planet, which means there's definitely somebody who can relate to you. So you only need to reach that one person to start changing the world, right? And I know you're an avid reader, so I want to go into that a little bit too. Like, what books are you reading right now? Because like you read, like you go through, like I told you those 2 books that one day, it was like 2 days later you were done with both. Like yeah. I would have slept on them because I don't like reading. I would have listened to it, but I don't like reading.
I must say, The Rich, Growing Rich by Napoleon Hill. I still go back to that book, just to see if I miss some things. But yeah, that's a very powerful book. And right now I'm reading The Power of Now. And one thing that I like to do when I'm reading now, what I've noticed that like, hey, let me read it, let me put it down, let me digest it, and then maybe a couple of days, then go back to it because I wanted to really be fresh. I wanted to get internal. I wanted to be internal so I can, hear and feel everything. Like The Power of Now is very powerful. Just understanding the power that you have in the present tense when you're just breathing, when you're just in that moment, you just feel surreal and you like, yeah, this is real. That's the power that you really want to have when you know that deep down that you're right where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You're not just so worried about your past. You're not so worried about the future, but you're just in that state that you need to be, especially right now. A lot of times we let our past just hunt our mind, and we have nightmares, and we're
Yep.
scared of so many things. What happened in our past, but what if we just say, all right, I'm done with that. Let me just focus on what I can do today. All right, let me get 1% better. All right, I didn't read yesterday. Let me read today. All right, I didn't meditate yesterday. Let me meditate today. All right, I didn't eat good yesterday. Let me eat a little bit better today. Just little steps. That's all.
So, all right. So, when you look back at your life, right? Like when you're looking back right now, what is the one thing that you look back and you say, how the hell did I get out of that? How did I overcome that? And how am I, like, I don't, looking back, like, there are certain things in my life, I look back and it's like, man, how the hell did I do that? Like, I don't even realize it. Like, like today I'm learning to give myself appreciation for it because I never did. But like, I look back and there's certain things like, how the hell did I not die? How did I get out of that? Like, how did I find my way through this and survive and thrive and be able to get to where I am today?
It's a couple of moments. I remember, once my mom had got me, and my dad came down because he had full custody of me, and I still remember to this day. It's kind of like uh, I was holding on to the table for dear life, hiding because I didn't want to leave my mom, of course. And they grabbed me. The police grabbed me away, and I was just like crying for dear life, and I just held on to that table. And I was young, and that was one instance. The second instance, when my grandma passed away, that was like the first time I figured out what death was. And then the second time was when my cousin passed away. My cousin passed away to her husband killed her, and then he killed himself. So I was mad because I wanted to get him, but he had killed himself. So I was in 11th grade at the time, so that kind of got me. And then last but not least, it was my mom. I felt it that morning. I woke up that morning. I was sick as a dog, and that was the first time ever, probably in my life, I have not been able to eat at lunchtime. I was like, "Nah, I can't eat." And that was when she passed away around that same time. Once I couldn't eat. And I didn't know until my grandparents came and they had told me because I went to Piney Woods. Piney Woods is like the only boarding school in America at the time. And they came and we was in the auditorium. Then they just told me that my mom passed away. My mom died. And she was a schizophrenic, so she got my uncle car somehow and was going down the hill and hit a car and flipped into a ditch. And that was the risk. That was the end. And I was just like, and I broke down as soon as they told me. So that was another thing. And I had to go through that summer like, all right. So I kind of just went hard that summer with basketball. That was like, all right, I'm gonna give my all. This is my mom, and that's when I really became pretty good in basketball, and I started getting a lot of colleges looking at me and stuff. So that's when I really took it very seriously when my mom passed away. I kind of just said that was my holy trinity: my grandma, my cousin, then my mom, and then yeah. So I kind of been good off of death for a minute. Then it came back sprawling. My grandparents just passed away about 2 years ago. The ones I grew up with. So yeah, so death been kind of some of my parts of to really um, got into my souls at times, and it got ugly. Then it was times that I was just like, I wasn't never gonna love no woman as strong as my mom. I was like, it ain't happening. And I became, it was hard for me to get to love, if you will. I didn't want to receive it because I was like, there's no point because I'm not gonna love nobody more than I love my mom and grandma and them. So once I realized and got over that hurdle, that's when love came in and it blossomed. And now I understand the true meaning of being loved and actually loving someone. So yeah.
That's awesome. Man, I'm telling you, I feel like you could write a book or a movie or something. Like you could. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit more about what you do today. Now, I don't want to do like advertising for what you do, but just more details about how you teach people, how they understand. Like go into those details because the next thing I want to discuss is what your plans are to do with that for the future. So I want to set that up by you going into a little bit about why this is so passionate to you.
So teaching financial education is a passion to me because when I look at myself and I look at this world, we have so many people that's living underneath the poverty line. We have so many people that don't understanding how to spend their money wisely, don't understand the different types of insurances, or don't understand how to get more money, anything like that. And we work these long end jobs for so many years, but what's going to be the reap and benefit at the end? We don't look at the end game. We always looking at for the right now, but we got to look at the end game too. Like we can be helped right now. You can learn so much right now. And what I do in my approach is I want to teach you. I'm not here to beat you side the head, tell you what you need to do. Hey, this is what you can do. This is how you can help your family out. This is how you can help, you know, um, saving up some money for the kids that you have or your college fund for your kids and leave a legacy for your kids. Because at the end of the day, I know this is what we're doing it for. We're doing it for our family. We want to leave that piece of the pie behind. We have so many people that we always get mad at the rich because the rich get richer. Yes, of course. But what are we doing to actually get better at, spending habits, understanding a budget, understanding what we can do with the little money that we do have that we can actually make it benefit for us, make it revenue for us. Understanding those little tedious things can really help us out in the big scheme of things. That's what I believe in. And that's why I come to people not as a financial advisor, if you will, or a financial professional. I come as a person that knows and comes from love. I'm not here to, sell you anything. I'm just here to teach you. And it's up to you to get this information and be like, okay, I understand it. I digest it. Yes, let me get this. Let me get that. That's how I come.
No, and I think that's awesome, right? Like, I mean, you want to help people help themselves, right? And wealth is truly generational, right? So you're talking about taking okay, so and this is not putting down anybody's career, anybody's job, anything. So let's just break it down numbers wise, right? You're talking about somebody making, let's say, 35,000 a year and living within their means, putting away whatever they can, incremental over the course of their lifetime. They pass away. There's 50 to 100 grand that they're going to pass down to the next generation. And rather than the next generation saying, "Ooh, let's divide this 8 ways and just go have a party," it's more, let's leave that there and build on top of that, use it as a security blanket, live our lives. And we're making 50 to 60,000 a year, so we'll put a little bit more on top of that. They pass away. By the time they pass away, it's $250,000, $500,000, right? Because of all these different things over time, and that's how you create wealth, right? Generational, like, and those are small numbers, and I understand that today's world is not that inexpensive anymore, because it's really not, right? Like, I mean, it's hard to live right now if you're not making a certain amount of money. And I think whatever the poverty level is, whatever numbers they say it is, are way off, because I don't think they include room and board, and I don't think they include the cost of food.
Yeah,
Right?
And it all depends by state to state, of course, because
Right.
some states are a little bit cheaper than others, and we already know how that kind of goes. In the South, the poverty line is still worse because of, I'm from Mississippi, so still I think it's $6 or something like that. So we got to get minimum wage on the same. We got to grit this whole thing. We're gonna have to get it from top to bottom because some of these people have to get more money. You shouldn't be have to work 40 hours a week and then you're just getting bare minimum, and
Right.
you're still, getting X, Y, and Z. And we say education is the way, but it seems like with millennials, our age or my age group, it seems like college is the death hole for us because we paying back college tuition back, and they putting all these putting all the interest rates on that. So if we don't pay it on time and all that, so it's just doubling, quadrupling. Just think about all the doctors, even doctors and lawyers and all that, all those practices in school. Then they getting a great amount of salary, but guess what? Most of that money is going right back because they got to pay student loans off.
Well, doctors are interesting, right? Because not only do they have student loans, but they have malpractice insurance, right? So you can look at a doctor saying, "Oh, he's making $500,000 a year. He's doing great." Well, you don't realize he's $500,000 in debt. He has a house that he lives in because he started a family. He has all those bills. He might be putting his kids in private school, and then he also has got a whole bunch of credit card debt, and then he also has malpractice insurance, which is ridiculously expensive, like through the roof expensive. Because
Exactly. And that's the thing about us. We help out everybody. We don't care about what side of the tracks that you're on. We just want to help you out so you can be better fitted for your life, get your better lifestyle, so you can have a better retirement, have a better life, and you don't have to stress about it because we already know one of the biggest, number one concern in everybody is not enough money because we know that kind of trickles down to everything else. All right, I can't get this, I can't get that, I can't get this. We already know how that kind of goes when you're in the household and the kid wants something or you want something, you see something on TV and you're saying I can't, and that's kind of triggered in your mind, and now you feel like you cannot do something, and now it goes to your attitude. Sometimes you in your job, you like in your job description, well, I can't do that, I can't do this, because you didn't put it in your hand and you always said I can't, and you saying no all the time instead of saying, you know what, let me figure out what can I do. All right, let me ask somebody. All right, this is what he does. Okay, let me ask him. All right, this is I have X, Y, and Z in debt. Okay, how can I remove that? What is some tactics? What are some because that's how you got to do it. I mean, I don't know everything, but I ask, or I go read something, or I go ask somebody, some of my teammates, or I go ask somebody else how to. Hey man, what is this? I don't understand this X, Y, and Z. So we gotta let that ego go and just be all right. I want to be helped and understand like, hey, I can be helped.
So, all right. So I'm going to ask you a question I don't even think we really talked about ever. How do you see fixing it? How do we fix the equality, the financial equality divide, right? Because there's many wars in this country that are under the surface. There's the race war, there's political wars, there's all this crap, right? Then there's mainstream media that blows everything out of proportion, makes everything worse on both sides. So how do we bridge that gap and teach people to understand the difference? How do we show them? I mean, what are you personally doing and what do you envision that you're going to do to help bridge that gap so that people can build towards something better for themselves and their family?
Well, as Frederick Douglass Frederick Douglass will always say, he always talks about, you got to reach the kids. So for me, I've noticed and I've been taking note of just being a kid, teenager. I feel like teenagers are one of those groups that are not talked about enough, and we do not have programs for the teenagers. Think about it: from ages 12 to 18, what programs do we have universally, nationwide, that we actually help them out with?
None.
Not too many. It's mostly, you give them a couple sports here and there. You may give them some karate. You may give them a little art class or whatnot. But universally speaking, we say that kids are our future. So why do we not, or why are we skipping over the teenagers? It's just like, okay, yeah, we put all our attention to the youth, the young, ages 1 through probably 8 or 9 years old. But then once they get to about 12, 13, they're a teenager. We kind of like, all right, well, they don't like to talk to me anymore. She does this and that, but they need us the most now. They need us to know, actually, they need to know, some things. So I have this plan. I'm actually trying to work on it now. I really want to teach teenagers all across the globe about not just financial education, but about just great ideas. I mean, understanding their psyche, because they have so many tools. I can probably go to, I don't know how many schools right now, and you can go and look at their notebook and they know how to draw. But do they know how much money they can get from drawing? Do they know the different types of drawing? Do they know what is this pastel? Is this another type of painting? Why are we not teaching the teenagers these types of fields and training? Why are they not understanding entrepreneurship classes? Why are they not understanding, why are they not speaking? Why are they not in speaking classes? Why they do not, write? Why do they not do those things?
Because it's the first things that budgets could get, right? Like it's so ritualistic that we leave the standard curriculum in place, that the first thing that they cut is everything that inspires people. And we're so used to this memorization system that everybody has to memorize information to understand it, which is just not how the mind works. It's proven. It's just not, right? Like there's auditory learners, there's visual learners, there's kinetic learners, and we're doing memorization because it's easy and because it's already implemented and because we don't want to change. And part of it is we want sheep. We don't want leaders. We don't want, we don't want to raise people that want to change.
Exactly. That's the thing. When you go to college, think about it. You're not, we go to business, quote unquote, business schools and all that, but they don't want you to be an entrepreneur, quote unquote. They want you to get a job.
Yep.
Why is it that they want you to get a job instead of like, hey, want you to have the opportunity, like, let's learn both sides of the track, and now you can be either or.
Because again, they don't want too much competition, right? They don't want, they're okay with the Zuckerbergs and the Steve Jobs and the 1 millionth of a percent that falls out of the system and then creates something amazing, right? Like they're okay with that 1 millionth of a percent, as long as the other millions stay in play, right? Like, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Like the university system is all about profiting. All these things are all about profits. And a long time ago, we gave over our rights to want to educate ourselves to book companies and, want to create intelligence. We don't want creativity. We want blocked in systems so that people just follow the lead. Like we're not creating an environment of innovation and intelligence and creative thinking, and they don't want that. The system doesn't want it.
That's right. The system.
Right.
But
why is there not more people doing what you want to do and doing what needs to be done and reaching out and creating things to be able to inspire that change?
I feel like it has to do with the history of the leaders that have done this before. It's death. Think about it. Martin Luther King died. Malcolm X died. QEP, all those, they got incriminated. Black Panther Party, they got corrupted and everything else because it was too much. Like, I feel like, we've seen this before, and a lot of people are like, no, I don't think I can go that route because the ultimate is death, or are they going to, they're going to kill me, or they're going to assassinate my character? Is that, and also it ain't no more creativity because what they're going to create. How can I create if I'm not taught? I'm not reading enough books. Nobody's inspiring me anyway. So I'm stuck in this box. It's hard to create something when you're stuck in a box. I mean, I'm talking from experience. You're talking to somebody that grew up, didn't read anything like that. Basketball, like I said, basketball is my only life. Now, once I didn't change course, now I got all types of ideas that came and come into my, thing. Like I have an idea right now. Think about this. We always talking about how much it costs for prisons. I mean, we know how much it costs a prison. How much does it cost for a prison to be reformed? Like a person that's in prison to be reformed. How much would that cost? Just think about it. Like that's what just comes to my mind. Like, how much does that cost? Does it really cost that much? Because we putting killers in there with killers. How is a killer going to help out another killer?
Yeah, I mean, this is a rabbit hole though, because right, we can go down and say, they even put marijuana dealers in prison with killers, right? So, like, I mean, how are you going to get better if non-violent is in with violent and criminals are oversaturated, and then there's all these different sides of this, right? And I mean, you can't leave the black-white stuff out, the side of the track stuff out, because your environment's going to create what you end up in, right? Opportunities, I was talking to another gentleman, Joe Michael Nixon, who's a good friend of mine, and him and his business partner created something called Concreates, which they were actually both incarcerated when creating, right? And it's now it's a marketing agency and branding agency that works with Fortune 500 companies, right? And all they hire is incarcerated people or formerly incarcerated people. Like we were talking about this, about how creative is it to be able to smuggle drugs under the border or to be able to bring drugs into someplace? How much people skills do you have to manage a drug ring? Because you have layer after layer after layer of people under you, but now it's life or death, and it's prison or free, right? Is on the line. So what kind of people skills do you have to be able to manage that organization to be profitable at the end of the day? Like we're taking some skill sets, right? And these skill sets are so applicable to almost any industry, but because they were incarcerated, we refuse to look at their skill set in a positive light.
Exactly.
And it's ridiculous to me because if you really think about what these two gentlemen created, Joe Michael Nixon and Vincent Bragg, right? Like if you really think about what they created is a way to completely reform the criminal justice system, because they're actually paving the way and showing people how to do it. And they did it from inside. Think about that. They created this from inside. Like, I mean, you're talking about brilliance. Like this is life-changing stuff.
Exactly.
And why isn't this being talked about? Why isn't this being put in front of high schools? Why isn't this being discussed? That you can be anything you want. You can make a mistake and come back. The reason that nobody's talking about you can make a mistake and come back is because people don't want you to come back when you make a mistake. They don't want to give you that chance. They're scared. They're in fear. You're never going to be a good person because you made a mistake, right? So it's ridiculous. The whole thing's a joke. The whole system's a major issue.
It's very much so. And then I was gonna say, one of the biggest things we always say, devil will idle mind is the devil workshop. So we always got people with idle minds, so they don't have nothing to do. They don't have anything in their disposal. So guess what? All right, I'm about to do something else with my mind. My mind is finna draw off and do some things that, hey, I'm about to do some other things.
Yeah. And I mean, I think people just aren't realizing this. Like, it's almost so simple that they're not looking at it. Like, it's so blatantly in front of them that they're just not paying attention to it. Or they don't want to. Or they just don't want to.
I think it's with this generation or just how much technology that we have now, I feel like we just go so fast. We want the microwave success, microwave everything, Like if you don't know an answer or something, we want to go to Google and be like, Oh yeah, that's my answer. All right, cool. Yeah, I learned this. All right, I learned this today. Do something different. No, you got to actually, research, and that's something that a lot of us don't want to go to. That's a whole nother discussion.
Here's the thing: I would rather my kids go to Google and search something than reading it out of a book that was created 50 years ago that they just keep putting different version numbers on. I would rather them use their own ingenuity to go find it online somewhere and seek their own information and come up with an answer than to read it out of a book that somebody else wrote. Do your own, look for your own answers. Be interested, be curious. I promise you, when my son wants something on Minecraft, he's on Google looking. And he finds it. Nothing's hidden from him. Like, he finds it. So if this kid can do it with a game, then why are my teachers saying that he doesn't want to pay attention? Because you're boring. Same reason I didn't want to pay attention. You were boring 30 years ago. You're still teaching the same crap. I mean, it's the same crap.
So how can we, make it more interesting, make it more fun?
We've got to change the whole system. The whole system's got to be rebuilt from scratch. Like, education needs to be, the financial system needs to be, because I don't know how many more trillions they can keep writing. Do simple numbers. Like, I mean,
yeah, we
count one. I mean, our GDP
power
is
zero. Yeah, the power zero. He definitely did a number. You seen the documentary? He actually got a book and a documentary, but he has a documentary, Power Zero, and he definitely talks about, that whole documentary is just talking about the next. We really don't have too much to just keep on borrowing and keep on just, especially with inflation and everything else. That's why, we have so much crisis, because, I mean, at the end of the day, when this system was built, it was like 1 out of 42 people that was kind of, one person getting laid off or retiring, then it was about 42 people coming into the workforce. Right. Now it's not that. It's like 1 to 1. So, one person retiring, it's
not only that, I mean, you have a lot more entrepreneurship, right? So you have a lot less corporations paying the 7.5% in. You have more individuals being forced to pay that 14 or 15%, whatever the exact number is.
Yeah.
I mean, but then also the biggest part of the population is retiring. So, like, I mean, there's so many issues with this system. And, like, I mean, I'm not even talking about Social Security or Medicare or any of that crap. Look at pure numbers. What is our GDP? Okay, what is going to happen to the retail industry in the next 6 months? Because they're talking about 21,000 stores closing this year, right? How many people does that put out of a job? And they've already written, what was that last bill? What was it? 2 trillion, 1.9 trillion? So what's the next one going to be? Because you're not telling me it's getting better in 6 months. There's no way it is getting better in 6 months.
No. Because we already know when these vaccines come out, where everybody gets the vaccine, traveling and all that that's going to go up, and then a lot of people will be spending money, but
nobody has it anymore.
Exactly.
There's nobody to travel unless they're going to start giving travel stimulus checks. Like here's a travel voucher, like, here, go on a 7-day trip and don't pay anything, but the government will pay wherever you end up. Like, I mean, the money's not there. It was removed from the system, right? People have been hurting too bad for too long, went through their savings, went through their backup money. And the people that spend are the lower middle class to the upper middle class. Those are the spenders in this country. First of all, the middle class is almost gone. That's a whole different story.
Yeah, definitely.
The biggest spenders in this country are people that spend out of their means, way beyond their means. Because the wealthy stay wealthy because they don't spend. They don't spend. It seems like they're spending a lot of money when they go buy that, $20 million yacht, but how much does that really put into the economy? It's the people that, go out shopping every day, that go to restaurants every day, that, go to bars, spend money, that go on trips. It's a different world.
Yeah, their spending habits, because, they feel like that's the only thing that makes them resourceful or makes them feel something,
Yeah.
So that's definitely a psychological, right? That's very psychological. You buying something that you may not need, but it makes you feel better about your situations. So that's something that we definitely want to address. Like, hey, all right, I really don't need this. I may need to be putting this away for something for a rainy
But
day.
but the problem with that is this is a consumerism based economy. So what happens when consumerism disappears? Then what does the GDP drop to? It's not like we produce anything and ship it out. It's not like we manufacture stuff here anymore. We intake everything. We're at a crossroads right now as a government. We're at a crossroads as an economy. We're at a point now where there needs to be drastic change, and I don't know what that's going to be. I don't see how this gets better in the next 6 months, in the next year, in the next 5 years. This is a scary time financially. Yeah, people should be putting stuff away, but at the same time, what industries are, with AI and robotics and everything else kicking off, what industries are safe? What skills are you teaching yourself that you can go make money? What skills are you teaching yourself that you can go invest in yourself right now? That's where the money should be going. You should be investing in your own personal skill set, your own soft skills, your own intangibles that can't be, recreated by anything else. Because I don't know how this is going to bounce back.
I feel like I think a lot of people are doing that though. With this pandemic, I think a lot of people are actually understanding the power of themselves. The creativities, the creativity is also, is there because hey, you're in the house all day. It's like, okay, all right, I can't just watch TV all day, so let me figure out some things that I wanted to do. So I think a lot of people are being more creative. Especially on LinkedIn. Man, I've met some
Yeah.
powerful people, man. I mean, I met you through LinkedIn, so I mean, it's out there. So I feel like we can't just base it off of just some of the negative experience that we may have feel or some people, but I feel like we do have a great opportunity ahead of us in the next 6 months or a year. It's just one step at a time, one day at a time, and actually understanding how we can constantly just change, go for better pay at some of these jobs that we have, especially these corporations and things of that nature. We can actually go attack them now because of what's going on. I mean, we know where your money is going to now. We understanding how maneuvering your money now. Okay, so this is what you've been doing all this time. See, now we got, the floodgates is all on you. Spotlight is on you now. So now we understand exactly how did you do this to actually, get all these money that you didn't get. So I feel like now is the time that we can really fight and actually understand, okay, this is how he did this. This is what they did to actually keep all this wealth going and keep it progressing. So I feel like that's the great thing about this, the optimistic side about it, because now you can understand exactly how they did it, and now more than ever we can actually attack them.
I think this is a time of inspiring others to be self-inspired. I think that this is an opportunity to dig deep, find ourselves, and inspire others to do the same. Because, like Think and Grow Rich when it came out during the Depression, people are going to have to dig real deep, go real deep, and then look for creative ways to change things. And that innovation, that change, for you to have that impact, you need to be true to yourself. And I think people need to understand that. Yes, there is a ton of negatives in this world. There is a ton of negatives in most of the sentences that I've said during this whole thing. But I also see the positive of it also, because by me saying the negative, it triggers positive responses like yours, right? You're a person that's doing the work. You're a person that's been through hell and back, that's survived other circumstances. You're a person that's overcome everything in your way. So why can't anybody else?
Yeah, we can. Like I said, it's gonna be together though. We don't have to do this alone.
No, it's got to be unified. It's time to unite. The masses need to unite.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is that we got to understand what is the common goal for all of us. I mean, we all going through the same struggles.
Stayed awake right now. Holy shit, my kids killed me.
So if we're going through the same struggles, then we have to understand how to unify. I mean, we seen what we just had the movie, the Black Messiah and Judas. We saw what this young great mind was doing in Chicago. He kind of bounced off of what Martin Luther King was doing, the poor man's campaign, and was really like, oh, okay, so we're gonna get everybody around, all races together, and put them
Yep.
together because everybody is poor. So okay, yeah, let's fight this together. All right, let's fight this together. Bow. Let's go up to this. Let's start. Let's getting these think tanks. Let's start thinking, okay, this is what you bring to the table. This is what you bring to the table. All right, let's buy. Let's get it. All right, let's go march down this way. We're going to march down the next way. And we're going to keep on hearing them until they give us what we want. Same concept. I mean, we have seen this so many times. The ancestors before us that, they had the same problems. They just pretty much just, okay, they striked it. Same thing. We have already had this problem before. We knew that the system wasn't right. Martin Luther King went up there, was like, hey, we need more housing. The housing problem is not good. We need to have this because back in the time when he was alive, he was like, I came in this apartment and looked at filthy, and y'all was talking about this, how much money that she need to be paying for this. I was like, no. Same thing happened now, especially in California. You got a $1,500 apartment, and there's only a 1-bedroom, and the kitchen about the size of, ain't that big.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of shifts that need to happen, and I think we can continue this conversation probably for another couple hours. Because
yeah.
No, I mean, I love it, right? And sometimes I got to go negative to get the positive out of something else, right?
Mm.
And I like hearing other people's ideas. So I love this, Daryl. Thank you so much for this. It's time to get. It's been an hour already, so it flies by, man. It does. We'll definitely do this again. And everybody, thank you for watching now or later. I know it's a different time than normal, but I know that people will be watching it. So I do appreciate you, Daryl. Thank you so much, and have a great day, everybody.
All right, you too. Peace and love.